as I was thinking about what we are doing, it really is an opportunity for people to connect with their beingness. We are not conscious of the compartmentalization. We just say, this is who I am, right? Who you are is different depending on the environment that you find yourself in or the people that you find yourself connected with. So I hold myself out as an example. At 71 years old, it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey to self-acceptance. And I think it may be that way for many of us, that we look at the pieces of ourselves and decide, I can show that. No, I can't show that. Is there a danger? How deep is the danger if I show you all of me? Oh, I can show these people this part of me, and these people this part of me, and these people this part of me. And then the question is, how long before you get tired of just compartmentalizing your beingness?
Hello, Facebook.
Hey,
Before we even get started, if you're driving, switch to Bluetooth. Make sure your phone's not in your hand. If you're cooking, put the phone down. If you're just sitting on the couch watching TV, no matter whatever you're doing right now. If it is at all possible, don't cut us off and turn the volume up, but put your phone down and free up your hands just for a second. Everybody just free up your hands for just, I promise you can go right back to what you're doing. You ain't gotta watch this whole thing because we're going to be on here for an hour. But just give me 60 seconds. Put your phone down, free up your hands. Loosen up your shoulders. Roll your neck around a little bit. And take a real good, deep, belly feel breath. You feel that? You feel that? Rub your hands together. 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 Now I want you to, when you feel good and ready, when you feel good and warm, when you feel like it's time, I want you to open your hands and point them towards the phone, okay? Whenever you're ready. You do it when you're ready. Take a deep breath. You deserve this break. You deserve just a minute to just regather yourself. Ashe. Ashe. Welcome to the late night happy hour with Carrie Irene and DrSue.
Hey,
I hope you have had a good day. DrSue, how you feeling?
It's been a great day. And I've been thinking all day about what I wanted to talk about.
This lady is ready. She's gonna be ready. Let me Get a little piece of paper. Okay. Just get a little piece of paper. All right. So y'all, if it's your first time here, me and Dr. Sue just get on here every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific, and whatever comes up
comes out.
And that's just what we talk about. But typically one of us got something that didn't happen that day, you know, conversations we've had, books we've read, podcasts we've listened to. Something makes you, something gets the fire stirred up in your bones, you know. So Dr. Sue, I can just tell, look at her, y'all. She like
Jumping at the bit.
She ran to go.
Y'all, I don't read the news, but I love to scroll the headlines. And every now and then I will read Dear Abby.
That's still come on? I mean, that's still a thing?
It's still a thing.
Wow.
Because when and now it's her daughter or granddaughter or somebody, because Abby, when I was growing up, Abby, I think it was Abigail Van Buren was her name, and everybody would write her, mostly those folk, but everybody would write her, and they would tell all their business, and they would ask her, what am I supposed to do? What should I do? So because it's something that I grew up with, I am always, I scroll the headline and then I see, well, what's this about? So so I was excuse me. I was scrolling the headlines yesterday, and I think it was yesterday, and I saw this letter from this woman who says, Dear Abby, and she went on to tell about that she had been in this relationship with this man for 3 years, and that she wasn't feeling good about herself because he punishes her. Well, he punishes her because he wants her to do certain things in the bedroom. Now, she didn't say what they were, but y'all can let your imagination roam. Whatever it is, she wasn't comfortable doing it, right? And so she said that sometimes she would do it just to get him off her back, so to speak, but she never felt good about herself. Now, when she would not do it, then he would withhold his affection from her, and he would say mean things to her. You know, that's abusive. I'm just saying. And so she's been with him now for 3 years. And her question to Dear Abby was, should I stay with him? Now, see, here's the thing. First of all, 9.5 times out of 10, before I say that, let me say this. God has given us this internal system where when we connect with source, right? Even if we're not consciously connected, there is something within us that lets us know right, wrong, or here's a gray area. But when you ask the question 9.5 times out of 10, you already know the answer. So I'm intrigued by the fact that here is this woman saying that this man is being abusive, just straight up abusive, and he punishes her. And so she wants somebody else to tell her that it's okay. That two things. First, to tell her maybe he's going to change. And then secondly, if that's not the case, to tell her that she should leave. The topic tonight is, why is it that we have so much trouble letting go? Letting go. When we are in situations, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whatever it is, whether it's a friendship, when we're in these relationships, or when we are in a particular place, whether it's a house, a motel, a hotel, whatever it is, whether it's Alaska or Canada or Miami, when we're in these places and spaces, and everything in us is telling us that there's something wrong here. This is your intuition. This is what I call your inner wise woman or wise man. This is your God connection talking to you, telling you there's a problem here. Open your spiritual eyes, because apparently your human eyes don't want to see. So open your spiritual eyes and see what it is that source is trying to tell you. Why is it that we hold on? And listen, y'all, that you just, hey, I tell all my business. So the first thing I want you to know is I've been there. I've been there and I've done that. So I ain't judging. I'm just intrigued. You know, I had to go through my stuff in order to get through to the other side. There's some things that we have to go through, unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, because there are things that we're supposed to learn. But I've learned it now. And I've learned that self-love, OMG, that is the greatest love in the world. Because when you love yourself, you are loving the God that you are, the God that is within you, right? And you know, if love is all there is, your whole internal system is telling you this is not love. So why do you need somebody outside of you to tell you that this is not love? I have to tell you about my story. You see, I didn't love me. When I was going through this stuff, I didn't love me. I didn't even know what that was. And there was this emptiness inside. And I just wanted somebody to love me. And I hoped and I prayed that this one would be the one. This one would treat me good. This one would treat me right. This one would love me like I loved him. Well, see, first of all, love, codependency, there's a connection there. When you are not healed within yourself, you get confused about what self-love is, if you even know that, have that thought, and you really get confused about what love is as it pertains to someone else. And so usually what is happening, or what was happening for me, I ain't gonna speak for y'all. What was happening for me is that I was looking outside of me for somebody to feel me. And even though both my human eyes and my spiritual eyes were telling me it's a no-go, it's a no-go, it's a no-go, I was saying, but he'll change. She'll change. They'll change. But they didn't, because they were being true to who they were. And the fact that I had this emptiness in me, that was not their issue or their concern. So anytime we are in a situation, the mirror is always showing our reflection. The finger that we're pointing out, we're saying it's his fault, it's her fault, it's their fault. That finger is always pointing back to you. And so I was thinking, oh, they done me wrong. He done me wrong. She done me wrong. The world done me wrong. But no, it was none of that. It was me looking outside of me, trying to find something that could never be found in me. And so the question is, why do we stay in these relationships or these places and spaces? What is it that makes us hold on? Carrie?
The other day I did a recording. I need to post it. It was the same day that I created that reel when I went outside and just sat for me. Not because I was, because I've been open about struggling quitting smoking cigarettes. And since I haven't been going outside to smoke cigarettes, I haven't been going outside. And I just came to that epiphany because I was so cold the other morning. I'm like, it's just too cold to go outside, just to be out there sitting. I'm like, I would do it for a cigarette. Why can't I do that for me? You know what I mean? Like, look at what you put a cigarette before you. if you want to go outside, go outside. It's going to be cold. Yeah, you knew it was going to be cold when you had that cigarette, but you had to get out there to have that. Go outside, bundle up. You know, of course, I ain't going to go out there just like I put on a sweatshirt, put on some socks, stuck my feet in some shoes, and I went out there and I did that for me. You know, for me. And, you know, because a lot of times we think self-love have to be this elaborate, scheduled daydream of a situation, and you got to spend some money, you got to get something to eat, you got to, but sometimes it's just being aware, taking the time to actually listen to ourselves. You know, you're the best friends that you can think of are the friends that you don't have to tell them what's wrong, and they realize something changed and they just automatically do something they know that's going to shift you in a positive direction. We need to be that friend to us. Real self-care, when you get down to that nitty-gritty, is being in that moment when you feel your energy shifting and say, oh, wait a minute. Now, it makes sense that I'm upset right now. It does. I felt myself going left. But I don't, you know, my shoulder's starting to get tight. My heart's beating fast. Let me breathe for a second. Let me just take a beat. Let me just take a breath. And so when you were talking about being in those situations where, say, you're in a relationship or you have a job or you have that friend that you really know you need to cut ties with. When we're in these situations and we're having that trouble letting go, sometimes the best thing that we can do for ourselves is just pause. Breathe into where you are and settle yourself and feel that comfort of knowing in the midst of all this chaos, I still have the power to calm things. I have the power to redirect my energy to more calm energy. Even though it's still, you know, not where I want it to be, I can affect it in a more positive and settling way versus going with it and lashing out and saying this and saying that. Just 1 minute, you can do that later. But I guarantee it'll be more precise. It'll be more directed to what you really feel because you've taken just that split second, that moment to commune with yourself, with your breath, with who you are, and the fact that you have complete and utter control. Just commanding that pause in your day can change so much. So the question that came up to me is not just why do I stay, but why did I come in it? Because a lot of times when you can look and see why you came into a relationship, you can see what you've been looking for and you can reverse engineer that. So if you, at your single moment when you met the love of your life, you were looking for someone who would take care of you. You're looking for stability. You were looking for this, that, and the other, right? So you get into these relationships for X, Y, or Z, whatever your reasons are. And if you get into the relationship and you're not feeling right, you're not feeling congruent, see what it is that you were doing in your life that are affecting your stability, your emotions, your love, your affection. See what things you are doing. And if you are not impacting that in a way, because you've been pulling from them, they're tired of trying to feel you. They don't realize that's what's happening. But we are depleting people from what we're pulling from them. And then when they're depleted, we're mad at them. Because we haven't redirected and saw, if this is what I'm seeking, I first have to know how to supply it for myself. Because if I'm relying on you and you don't fill you up, now I'm mad at you because now you ain't even got enough to give to me. We are out of line. Out of line. And then when you get in the situations in the relationships where things aren't going right, you don't stay because you've been drawing for them from that. You are wholly complete in that area yourself. So when they cut it off and you see that it's nothing running over, it's easier to leave because it's not holes that would be made as you pull them away. Because you've already taken the time to fill that part of you up. So it's just a separation, not a pulling out, not a, like a suction to you, it shouldn't be that hard to leave. And when it's that hard to leave, you got to look and see what parts of this person have I been filling the holes in me with. And then you can start to really know how to, there's a story about, I want you to think of anything that you are getting from someone else. I want you to picture it as something that is actually inside of you, like a divot, like a puzzle piece almost. And then I want you to think about this story as I talk about that divot of the puzzle piece and how you can push that out without having to rip them out of it first, because you got to start filling yourself up and it just gradually pushes them out. There's a story about this farmer, and it was nobody at that farm but him and his goat. And his goat was his best friend. We got dogs, cats, same difference. And he was building a hole to build a new well. Well, one day he forgot to cover the hole up, and his goat fell down in the well. And he was just distraught because he knew the goat's leg was broken. And, it was down there whimpering and whatever. And so he called the local vet over, and they was like, well, at least we can just give it a proper burial. So they took the dirt that they dug out of the hole to bury the goat. And then they bury it and they bury it, and they kept looking at it. They was like, why is it not being buried? Because every single time they threw the dirt down on the goat shook it off and patted it under his feet. And they said, we see what's happening now. We're not burying him. We're giving him something to stand on. And, a lot of times we feel like we're being buried. And they just and so then they start speeding it up, burying it, buried it. And then eventually the goat was on flat ground. Because the goat didn't decide to say, thank you for my burial. The goat said, whatever you give me, I'm going to stand on it so that I can build myself and learn from the experiences that are happening. So when you're in relationships and they're not working from the jump, the first sign, have the conversation. Because we all know, let something go on too long and then try to have a conversation about it. It is like one of the hardest things to do, because we all know we're thinking in our head, they're going to think that I'm being ridiculous because I've let them do this for so long. So now that I'm bringing it up, I feel like, oh my God, I shouldn't even bother bringing it up. As soon as you start to see a switch in energy, whether it's you or them, even if it's you, just say, hey, the other day I popped off on you and I don't even know why. So I know you may not want to bring it up because you don't want me to, be defensive, but I want to bring it up. Because I don't want you to feel like that you can't tell me when I'm being that way, because I need you to pull me back sometimes. These are the type of conversations we need to start having. That being aware of ourselves, that's the best thing that we can do for ourselves when it comes to self-care, for self-love, is being real honest, not brutally honest, but lovingly honest. Loving yourself to know, to be that best friend that when your best friend tell you, now you being extra. We need to do that for ourselves. You know what I mean? Oh, good. We got some good comments in here. Let's see. Someone said that they always wanted to start their own Dear Abby early. I'm like, I don't know who it is. Y'all let me know who this is. And then God-given internal system, intuition and discerns is the highest form of self-love in action. Yes, it is. Because when you know you don't need to know nobody else. Because when you start to shift and you're like, or you be like, you know what's going on. But you got to be honest with yourself about what's going on when it starts to go on. Because you can be totally head over heels in love with someone. That shit don't last all the time, though. Be honest about that. It was a beautiful relationship, but you ain't got to take it to the far yonder for it to be the beautiful relationship it was. Let it be that, and have the conversation. Be like, hey, I feel a natural rap up here. I guarantee you, if you're more honest with your mate, they feel it too. Yeah, they feel it too. So yeah, we hold on to toxic relationships, and it's because we think it's not a big deal. We think that it won't hurt so bad that we can handle it. Our environment usually normalizes us not loving ourselves. Yeah. Because we barely getting by. When I first got here and I was doing a lot of planning and things, I realized I was utilizing my time in a way that I absolutely love, but it wasn't being productive. So I wrote myself a note on the pad that said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Take that into every relationship you got. Just because you can stay doesn't mean that you should stay. Being still is a superpower, 100%. Hey, y'all from England. What's up?
Hey.
Is that Lakeisha? I think that's Lakeisha. And then Monique in the house. I know by experience. Say something. Amen. And so it is. So what? I see you popped up in your seat, Dr. Sue. What you got?
You know, the wheels are
I
turning.
feel you.
As you were talking, I thought two things. First, I thought that it is critical that we take responsibility for ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we don't show love to others, because again, love is all there is. But the person that we have to show love to first is ourselves. Because if you can't give what you don't have, and when you are leaning on someone else to fill you, check this out, it ain't gonna never be enough, ever. Because they can't give you all of them to plug that hole. They need it. What will happen then is that they will start pulling back energetically, and sometimes, and I am certainly not justifying abuse under any circumstances, none. But sometimes that is one of the reasons that people become volatile, or that they resort to abuse, because they don't have the language, they don't have the skills, they don't have the capacity to say, "You're consuming me. I just need a little space."
Yeah.
And if it's the other person, just like the woman who wrote into Abby, she knew before she wrote in. Y'all don't think that woman knew?
She
No,
knew.
judgmental. She
She
knew.
knew.
That's why she wrote in. She just wanted somebody outside of her to tell her what her internal system had already told her. But here's the thing. God gave you that internal system. You don't need to rely on anybody else to tell you what you already know. When I'm working with my clients, I tell them this from the very beginning. I tell them, stay in the ask. That's ASK. Keep asking God for guidance. And then shut your mouth, because you can't talk and hear at the same time. And so if you silence is golden, and divine silence is even more. And so when you ask, when you go into your sacred space, wherever it may be, say what you need to say. You don't have to go on and on and on and on, because here's the thing. Source, universe, God, whatever you call the creator, knows, because we're one with it and it is one with us. So you don't have to go on ad nauseum. Don't vomit. Just put it out there. Put it out there and let it go. And sit with it to see what it is that you hear. And I say hear. Now I'm clairaudient, so I actually hear. Sometimes it's just a feeling in your heart. Sometimes it's just a knowing. You don't even know, but it's a knowing. However it is, this is what I say to my clients as well. However God speaks to you, listen. Sit in the silence and listen. But ultimately, you have to take responsibility for yourself. And the other thing I thought when you were talking, Carrie, is that we stay in these relationships because even when we don't want to admit it, there's something in it for us. There's something in it for us. Are you the martyr? Are you the victim? Do you love being able to tell your story? Oh, he done me wrong. She done me wrong. Oh, do you get pleasure out of
The
that?
drama.
Yeah, the drama, the drama. It's feeding that thing that keeps you stuck. I don't know what it is for you. And maybe I'm just barking. But what I'm going to suggest is that whatever the situation may be, whether it is a job, whether it is a relationship, whatever it is, when you have a quote unquote situation, just sit with it. And one of the things, in addition to asking God for guidance, ask Him to show you, what am I getting out of this? Because something is feeding me that's holding me here.
Yeah.
Last thing, what's between your two ears is very important. The stories that we tell ourselves keep us paralyzed and locked in place. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to find anybody else. Yeah, he did this, but he loves me. She did that, but she really loves me. She's a good person. He's a good person. Yeah, I know that he is punitive, but he pays the rent. He shares with the house keeping. He helps me with the kids. She does whatever. See, when you look beneath the message, you'll see what you're getting. That's why you stay. And then the question that you have, one of the questions that you have to ask yourself is whether the desire to stay is greater than the desire to live. I woke up the other morning and I woke up because I heard God say to me, y'all know I tell all my business.
All of
me. Either are you going to, how is it now? Are you going to die to live, or live to die? Meaning, I think I got that right, but basically what it was is, are you going to keep complaining? Y'all, I complain about me to me. I don't complain about me to y'all, but I want this and I want that, and my business isn't doing this, and I really want that. Are you going to do what you need to do to achieve the things that you want? Because the world is yours. Or are you just going to talk about it? Are you going to get past the fear of what they might say, they might think, of failing? It's not good enough. It's not perfect. Are you going to move past that? Or are you just going to sit here and allow it to paralyze you? You know, one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption. And I heard Morgan Freeman, I read him something that he said the other day. Apparently, it ain't one of his. But I love it because in the end, I think it is Red says to Morgan, either get busy living or get busy dying, but get busy. And so I say to me and I say to you, if there's something in your life that you don't like, either get busy transforming. Notice I didn't say change. Change can be temporary. Transformation is permanent. So either get busy transforming or just sink into it and stop complaining. Yo, there's something else I wanted to say. I said it in my mind. I just didn't say it out loud. I don't want to be
extra. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl.
But y'all can, whatever word you want to substitute between get busy, get and busy, whatever word you want to put in there, just put that word in there and know that it is a word that is strong and has some passion. Become aware of the stories that you're telling yourself. You know, I like, one of the things I love is to teach through storytelling, but I always want to make sure that I'm making points that are clear. So going back to why do we stay? First thing is we have to have an awareness. Become aware of what you're doing. Become aware of the stories that you're telling yourself. Now look beneath the story. And when I say look beneath the story, don't just say, oh, my mama was this or my daddy didn't do this. Because at this point, you're fully grown.
Grown.
I mean, all grown folk listening to this, you're fully grown. And so as a child, you could blame them because that wasn't something that you could change. But now you have to, what was that word I said earlier? Take responsibility for yourself. So do you want to stay? What is staying in that space giving you? How is it? Is it feeding the victim? Is it feeding the martyr? Is it feeding the pessimist? What's it doing? And if it is doing any of that and you're tired of eating that, hey, there's a whole nother menu over here.
Yeah.
You get to a smorgasbord. You get to choose how you want to be, where you want to be, what you want to be. But it begins here. Everything begins in your mind with your thought. If you can think it, you can do it, you can be it. But you got to first start here, which starts with an awareness. And even before, after awareness really becomes an intention. You have an awareness, you have an intention, you have a desire to do something different than the thing that you've done before. Because who was it that said if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results?
Insanity.
Carrie?
Keith said, I received a vision of sundial when describing the gap between doing what I should have done and course correcting my decisions. The way the sun casts a shadow to show time. My vision said to me that this is showing how long it takes for me to discern or listen. Thought that was interesting. I think that's very interesting too. Yeah, because from your vantage point, that is where you move and where you attract. From your vantage point, and it's just like a sundial. And we can tell where we are if we pay attention. We can tell exactly where we are if we just pay attention, and that goes back to self-awareness. And then once you realize the cycle that's happening, once you realize the good things that are coming, we're talking about, knowing what's showing up is something that you are creating, and being aware that there are things that you can do in order to switch the energy and to take responsibility. But you got to step into that responsibility and figure out, like, well, what are some steps that I need to take in order to shift this thing? Like, do I need to talk to somebody? It could be a coach, it could be a counselor, it could be a therapist, it could be a hypnotherapist, it could be the gym, but pay attention to you and what you need. There's so many different options for you to release, for you to take that moment that you need in order to cipher through what's happening. So sometimes things happen so fast, you don't even know what you want to do, or like leave and stay when the bills are due, the kid is sick, you got to take your mama to her appointments, and, you got after school programs, God, even just came out of a bunch of that. I'm sure you parents are like, y'all got it pretty good till Valentine's Day, and that ain't too big in the, school. Get some suckers and go on. But it's a lot going on. There's so many things going on. And sometimes a lot of these relationships can be saved if you take the time to take care of you, so that you know what you need for you, not for them. And if you write down your needs on a piece of paper and you have to draw a line to anyone other than you, it ain't a need, baby. You don't need it. No, you don't. If you get it from somewhere else, it's not a need. Everything you need, you came equipped with. I think there are some basic needs, but all of them you came equipped with. But what about water? There are tribes still to this day that live on islands that don't have fresh water, so they drink different liquids from plants to stay hydrated. Water is not a necessity to them. So you're not going to tell me that we can't adapt.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the way we are. That's what evolution is all about. I don't care if you believe in Adam and Eve or the monkeys or the seed. I don't care it ain't what it was. I don't care what theory you go with. It ain't what it was. Whatever theory. Evolution. Evolution of self. It's like the seed. It comes from within. What they put in the ground and these big trees grow, it started as a seed within us. All of the things that we manifest is coming from within. That's why that lotus flower is a symbol. A lot of people don't research their own things, and they see a lotus flower and they think fruit, or they think, pay attention. Everything it makes sense. In the Bible, it talks about the wheel in the middle of the wheel. It's the part of the spin that's still. It never moves. Yet it consumes all of the energy of every other movement. It's within. It's in there. As far in there as you can get. That's where the truth is. So keep going in, because the deeper in you go, the more pure it is. And you will know when it's time to leave. You'll also know if you're just bored and you're looking for them to feel something that you need to figure out yourself, and let them off the hook. But let yourself off the hook. You ain't, if they look at you and you don't do this and you don't make me feel, well, baby, let's get you some classes that make you feel that regardless of me. That's what you can do for them, you know? Because it does, like God said, it gets too much sometimes to be someone's savior or someone's hole filler. I don't get into relationships to fill holes for the rest of my life. I want to be whole and share my wholeness with you. We got to take care of ourselves so that we can have that. Because if we go flying through life looking for mates with holes, we gonna find someone's holes that fit us. You know, people say, you know, our crazy go together. Okay, go ahead then. Go ahead. No, I want my peace to go with your peace. My whole and complete peace to go with your peace. Yes, that's what I want.
So while you were talking, what came up for me just now is a lot of things that we say in society are supportive of this distorted perception of how we should be, how we should move in this space, right? For instance, she's my better half. Y'all, ain't nobody my better half. I'm my better half.
I am two half of the best hoe.
I'm just saying. But things like that, those old sayings that live on, oh, I can't live without him. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, you can. And if you don't believe it, I ain't wishing this on nobody. I'm just saying. But if you don't believe it, let him die and see what you do. If God's not calling you, it ain't your time, you're gonna still be here.
You're gonna figure it out.
Without him and without her. So these things that we say create stories in our mind, and we live by them as if they are true. They're not true. Related to that, as you were talking, I thought a part of that first step, awareness, comes under the umbrella of self-discovery. Self-discovery. Who am I? Why am I doing it? Right? So in order to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, again, you just got to stop. I had to stop and look at myself and say, I have to tell y'all, some of what I saw within me, I didn't like it. It wasn't pretty. I like pretty. It wasn't pretty. My mind wanted to reject it. And I'll tell you true. For some time, some of the things that came up about me, to me, it's like, nah. It has taken years, but when they are true, they keep coming back, coming back, coming back.
Yes, they do.
See the truth of what they are. Related to that, underneath this umbrella of self-discovery, you got to look at your values. What do you value? What do you value? Yeah. And the things that you value, are they intrinsic to you, or are they external and materialistic? And I don't have a problem with nice things, so don't get it twisted. But what I am saying is, if you strip away all of those nice things, who are you and what do you value, right? You can tell when you are in alignment if your actions are aligned with your values. If your actions are aligned with your values, your beliefs also align with your values. When people present themselves And when people present opportunities, or opportunities are presented to you, if they're not in line with your beliefs and your values, it's easy to say no. It's only when you don't know what they are, or when you're confused about where they are, hey, you go for the okie doke. You go for anything. So when we're talking about why we stay and who am I under this umbrella of self-discovery, look at your values. And if you don't know what they are, sit with it. Sit with it. You can tell what you value based on how you show up, based on who you're interacting with. The people that your closest friends, the people you hang out with, if you don't know what your values are, see what their values are. And that will give you an inkling of what your values are, because we tend to roll together with people like us. Just saying.
You ain't lying. That's exactly right. And there's no, and you know, I want to reiterate this, and I'm not saying this because Dr. Sue may, you know, whatever. I need to stop prefacing my stuff.
Monique.
You know what I mean? Yeah, right. She said, not die.
No, Monique, I don't want him to die.
Oh God, if I seem a little distracted, I'm looking for this video in the background, but I think it's right here. But as you were talking, I want y'all to make sure that I wanted to mention Sundays, when I usually go live on Sundays, I've decided to start doing do pre-recorded conversations with people, and then I edit them, and then I'm going to drop them on Sunday night. So Sunday night, watch the episode. I interviewed a lady named Lady Cleopatra, and that is her actual name, Lady Cleopatra, on her birth certificate. And it was an absolutely amazing conversation. And one of the things we're talking about is those moments when you realize, I am creating this. And it's kind of jarring. It's kind of shocking. Like for instance, relationships. We've been on this topic of relationships. And just a moment of transparency for me, my last relationship began with me telling the person that I entered into the relationship with that I don't want a relationship with you. It was the first thing when anything sparked, the look, whatever, the first thing I said was, I do not want a relationship with you or anybody else. I knew that in my soul when I said that. And I went on to get engaged. And I remember a very come to Jesus moment after the wedding had been called off, after everything was said and done. She wanted to meet and talk. And one of the questions she asked was, did you, I forget how she asked me, but it was more so like, how long did you know it was over? Did you really think it was over way before you said something, and you using this to just as an excuse to leave? And I had to be real honest. And I looked at her, and she knew I meant it, and she knew I was right. I said, we never should have had a relationship to begin with. Because I knew then. And she knew I meant it when I said it then. But we were both Aries and we were fire. And let me tell you, we had some good times. Okay? But I knew from the jump. And a lot of us know from the jump.
Yeah.
We can see where relationships can go without having to press towards any mark. And if we allow our lives to live just as those relationships, we can see where the lazy river shifts. And you can kind of sway your feet so you don't graze your toes on the concrete and be mad because they got scraped. We're going to go with the flow. But how you go with the flow is up to you. You can let your feet drag the concrete and be bleeding when you get out. Or you can see the energy shift and take one hand down in the water and do one little swoop. So you can just tilt this way and miss the whole wall. But we try to pretend that there's not a conversation that needs to be had. We pretend we don't know that they cheating. We pretend that we don't know that ain't what time that they said the meeting ended. We pretend that we don't know that they're condescending. We pretend that we know we don't like their family. Like, they cool, but they, like, I've had so many, well, not so many, but friends of mine that long before I was married the first time, because I used to hang out with a lot older crowd as well. So, and I was a bartender on top of that. So you can imagine the conversation I get. But the people that were coming to the bar or coming to the stores that I worked in, and just every holiday, you know how people get so stressed on holidays and they got to go to they other people's house or whatever. I'm just like, why do you go then? Well, we got it. What are we supposed to do? Stay? Really? Like, that is just like you telling your child that they got to go to a birthday party of a bully. If they don't want to go, they shouldn't have to go. But then in our adult lives, we feel obligated to enter into situations. I don't give a damn if it's your in-laws. If you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. You shouldn't put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Period. It's no disrespect to them. If anything, it's more respect to them because you're not trying to change them. And you respect the way that they live and you love them and will send a gift. And they can come over to your house for game night anytime. But I don't want to do that because I already know it's going to be this, that, and the other. Some families are just like that. Now, my family, I love going around my family. And I've never been around a family of anyone that I've dated that I didn't like. But I get along with everybody. But when there was ever an event and I didn't want to go, I'm not going. I've always been that person. And it will save you so many conversations down the road once you set the precedence of your comfort zone, what you're used to, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with from the first time that it happens. Then you don't have to have the conversations because you're setting it up the way you want it. Now you can break that down anytime you want to, but don't enter into it and setting a vibration that what I am comfortable with doesn't have to matter to you. Because then when they make us uncomfortable, then we think that they out of order. But we've never set the precedence. We got to love ourselves enough to set some precedents, set ourselves up on the shelf. Now, whatever you do with your shelf, you can do it at your shelf. Because you should be number one in your life. But in my life, I got to be number one because I cannot give you the best of me if I don't think I'm the best. I can't. How can I give the best if I don't think I'm the best? I got to be the best Carrie Irene DrSue that I can be. You know what I'm saying? I got to be. I got to be. Oh, we coming up on the yeah.
I want to say this to what you're saying. That goes back to, well, that meaning our inability to say, I don't want to go to your family's holiday gathering. The message, the story in our head is, but I'm supposed to want to go because she is my significant other, or he is my significant other, or they are my friend. And these stories are passed down from generations through our families, through the churches, because all of these external forces say you're supposed to love your family and you're supposed to love your person's family. But y'all, that is such, I'm just saying, no. So the thing is, as a metaphysician, I tell you that we come into this world as a part of soul groups. We travel together. And so the people who are in your life are the people who are supposed to be in your life. There are no mistakes, but the people who are in your life, the fact that you come through the birth canal with your brothers and your sisters, the fact that you got cousins and aunties, the fact that your significant other has people and you're connected to them, it don't mean you have to love them. It just means that they're here for a purpose. Now, how do I know what the purpose is? Well, the ultimate purpose is love, but love don't mean I got to hug you and kiss you and be in your space. Love means that I see the divinity within you, and I love that in spite of your human self, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's love. Love don't have nothing to do with the human. Love has to do with the God in me sees and is connected with the God in you. Because of that, I'll have to go to your Christmas dinner. I can love you from afar. And in loving you from afar, I am according you the greatest honor and the greatest respect because I am not there energetically. We're connecting with each other. And when I don't like you, you feel my energy and I feel yours. So why put yourself in someone else in that situation? But so often, now here's where communication really is critical, especially if you have a significant other. You got to respect each other enough to respect the fact that I love you and I love them spiritually, but I don't have to be there. And the fact that I'm not there doesn't mean that I'm going to love you any less. It doesn't mean that I am not honoring you. We can do something else. And I'm honoring you to the greatest extent just by the fact that I'm not going there and you and I aren't fighting about it when we get back. Love. That's love.
Yeah. And maybe I think we need to have it may not be next week, don't hold it to us, but have a conversation about how to have conversations.
Oh yeah, that's that.
Because I mean, I feel like that is like that's I have a gift of having conversations. Like, there's some conversations you just don't want to have with people, but I always enter into the conversation. And they don't have to talk about it. They don't want to, but I always enter into conversations. And, going back to we're talking about, the parents' house. I know someone's thinking it ain't that easy, but if you enter in the conversation from a place of love and honesty, no one can turn you away. Now they may not want to talk, but it's not going to start an argument. And we need to learn how to approach people with our words and our emotions. Because first, like we said earlier, you got to get in check with you first. You got to take a beat, take a breath, admit you're pissed off. Admit that, you want to say every cuss word, make a couple of them up. Be honest with it. And then say, okay, now what do I want to say, though? What do I want to get across? Now, I can cuss and use all the words, but let me make sure I'm just saying what I want to say. Because it's not that I'm so pissed at you for always thinking I want to go to your rinky-dinky family's house when I don't want to go there. But what do I want him to know? When I go to your family's house, your mom makes me feel like I'm not a good wife. Have the conversation. Because then at that point, the other person will be saying, I want you to go so my mom can make you feel like you're not a good wife. So defend me, have a conversation, or just let me stay at home. It's okay. I'm good staying home. I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to pop some popcorn and look, popcorn and wine like a scandal night, Just saying. But we have to have the honest conversations. We stay in our heads so much about what could happen that we don't come back to where we are and articulate what we want to happen. And we can do that. We can. Hi.
One of the things, and we'll talk about this when we have the conversation about communication. But Lisa Nichols taught us a strategy that I really, really like. It's about how to have a respectful and respecting conscious conversation that to leave the person's integrity intact. It's not a conversation. It's not a strategy that allows you to attack or be attacked, but it is one that allows you to be honest and to admit, because most times this is true, we play a part in the miscommunication. And so in order to have that conscious conversation, we have to be willing to look at ourselves and say what part we play in it and what we are willing to change in order to have a healthy conversation. So when we're ready to do that, not tonight, y'all, but when we're ready.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do it soon. There's a song by Annie DeFranco. I think I talked about her last week. Actually, last week I talked about Annie DeFranco, and it was actually Fiona Apple. My bad. But there's a song by Annie DeFranco, and it said, one of the lines of the song says, "A lot of times we don't say everything that we mean, so later we can say we were misunderstood." And we do that. And we gotta stop doing that. So, y'all, that concludes tonight's episode of a late night happy hour with Carrie Irene and DrSue. I'm going to play y'all one of my videos from my YouTube channel. It's called Ain't That Some Shit? And I want you to really listen to it. I want you to listen to it. Because it was, I remember I was standing at the sink and I was washing dishes and I just had a conversation. And I was thinking about how the conversation went because I was asked a question and I answered it as very honestly and very directly. But the answer that I gave wasn't good enough because it focused on me and not on the person. So I cut my voice recorder on as I do. And I just started recording myself. And this is that recording that, and I was literally standing there washing dishes when I recorded this. And it's called Ain't That Some Shit? But as you start asking yourself and having those conversations with people in your life, and they're difficult conversations, make sure that you don't take what they necessarily think about what you said and their reaction. Just make sure you're always saying what you know you need to say. Say exactly what you need to say and don't think about how they're going to receive it, how they're going to take it, how they're not going to take it. Just make sure that the things that come up for you come out. Like we say on Late Night Happy Hour, what comes up comes out.
I just want to add to that you can, my mama used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So as you are having the conversation and presenting your position, whatever that may be, one should try really hard not to do it from a place of attack, because it's not about the person. More often than not, it is about the behavior that you don't like or that you have a problem with. When you attack the person, it's hard to come back from that. Sometimes that will erode the trust in a relationship. And so now, in addition to having a problem communicating, now you've got to try to rebuild trust. Trust is earned, it's not given. And when you take it away, that is a hard road to try to regain.
It's a wrap for me. Once my trust is breaking, it's a whole wrap. Like I don't think I had that. That switch is like a one-way street. Only once you get jammed, it's like a zip tie. It's a wrap. All right, so thank you guys for joining us again. Watch the video. It's from our YouTube channel. I'm gonna be putting more up there. I want y'all to watch it. And come back next week, every Friday, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. See ya.
Bye, y'all.
When I explain myself and the way I feel about things and certain things, I explain it from my experience. So when I tell you what I'm going through or how I feel about something that you did, I'm not doing that for you. I don't expect you to change what you're doing, change who you're being, change what your reaction should have been, or tell you what you should have done or how you should have treated me. That's not I would be out of line. That's not my place. My place is to express how I'm feeling so that I can figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And if that happens to happen while you are in front of me, please rest assured that I'm not looking for anything from you. I'm not looking for you to make it easier for me. I'm not looking for you to make it harder for me, for sure. I'm not looking for you to change and make it harder for yourself. I'm just using the mirror that you're providing to look at myself through the experience that we just had together. I can't be responsible for anyone other than me. People change their minds way too often for me to keep up with it. So I'm not expressing myself so that I can work through what you're working through. Because first of all, how do I even know it's yours? That what you working through is really yours. Because I found that for myself, that a lot of things that I have worked through were just as simple as me admitting that it wasn't for me to work through. So there's got to be plenty of people out there working through something that is not theirs to work through, and then they are projecting the way they feel about some shit on you while you working through your shit that you trying to cipher through if it's your shit or not, and if it's your shit, how to work through this shit, and if it ain't your shit, how to throw this shit away. Shit.
You know, as I was thinking about what we are doing, it really is an opportunity for people to connect with their beingness. We are not conscious of the compartmentalization. We just say, this is who I am, right? Who you are is different depending on the environment that you find yourself in or the people that you find yourself connected with. So I hold myself out as an example. You know, at 71 years old, it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey to self-acceptance. And I think it may be that way for many of us, that we look at the pieces of ourselves and decide, I can show that, no, I can't show that. Is there a danger? How deep is the danger if I show you all of me? Oh, I can show these people this part of me, and these people this part of me, and these people this part of me. And then the question is, how long before you get tired of just compartmentalizing your beingness?